Fantastic. Yeah. Now, one of the things you kind of mentioned there is going to lead right into where we're going next. Let's start talking about multi-cloud security. So it's notorious complex. I saw right from the SCM screen that you showed a moment ago, you already had Google in there, you had Azure in there. So between SCM, between Horizon, how does it make things easier when you're dealing with those, let's just say even the big three, AWS, Azure, and GCP, but then what about the other ones out there too? Are they able to tie in and whatnot as well? How does that go?
Yeah, absolutely. The support is the plan is to have it across as many cloud service providers that we can, right? And it's going to be a phased model. But like you said, the top three or the big boys, they're all covered in our release, right? So that's going to be there. But I mean, I'll probably take a few minutes to talk about what is this thing solving for our customers, right? As you mentioned, Charles, that the whole adoption of cloud you saw in the demo as well, it's just happening. The trend is driving toward cloud network sophistication. You'll see multiple clouds, how they connect, and workloads will be across the board, right? And then all these applications across these multiple clouds or single cloud are extensively interconnected. You'll have app server in one cloud, you'll have database in another cloud, you have an S3 bucket at another cloud for cost optimization or maybe for better quality of service or whatnot, right? So that's how the reality is in these days, right? And then when we look at these network teams, they're extremely concerned because they have to reduce risk without slowing down any business. And it's a multi-cloud environment. So how do you actually go and secure this across the cloud with one single application that lives and breathes into multiple CSPs, as I talked about, right? Which really gets into knowing vulnerabilities, exploits across the board, knowing command and control, protecting against any web threats that are out there, protecting against any file-based threat, all the CDS stuff that John was talking about earlier, DNS attacks, unknown threats, and even DLP stuff that is out there, right? So the net outcome is that now you have to basically start designing or adding firewall and deal with connecting them across the board. And today it takes maybe 20 plus steps on an easier side for a customer to get it done. For example, I have to push these firewalls, deploy them manually, and then go and interconnect them across the fabrics, which is again creating tunnels and look at the quality tunnels, look at the cost service and which tunnel do I take first and other. So the complexity goes on and on, right? So what we're doing is that we're trying to solve these challenges I talked about, which is basically discovery, whether discovery of your VMs or Kubernetes or APIs, whatever you have in the network, will discover that automatically, right? We'll provide a full automated workflow to go and deploy these workloads or firewalls as we call it. And I'm going to show that in a demo as well. And then we'll connect these various touch points across various cloud service providers through multi-cloud mesh, right? That's how it gets connected automatically. And you can define traffic redirection, you can define DN operations and a bunch of benefit that goes across this multi-cloud fabric, right? So essentially you'll get a topology of maybe in one cloud you have multiple VPCs, how they connect, maybe across the cloud, how do they connect, and at the end, how this application is fully functional end to end and takes the benefit of that fabric, right? So I'll stop here, otherwise I'll keep on going. John, you want to add something to it?
No, I think you covered that great.
Yeah, and as a former DevOps guy myself, the idea of actually having that kind of thing be more automated, more structured and whatnot, I definitely am a fan of that, no question. So, John, AI-driven attacks are on the rise. We all see the newspapers and whatnot. Newspapers, that dates myself right there too. How is Orion enhancing prevention against these types of attacks?
So a couple things I'll talk about first in the software firewalls and some of the capabilities. If you think of the old school way of the way applications were made, it's like I have my application, I have my server, and that's it. Now there's so many individual components that building and creating application, you're grabbing code snippets from individual pieces. And one example is I'll go to Hugging Face. My son showed me how simple it was to make an AI created app. You get a text to video, or sorry, a voice translation module, a text to speech translation module. You go to 1.8 million modules up on Hugging Face. How to make sure when you bring in a code snippet that it's safe and secure. So being able to scan those types of things. And also being able to leakage and getting things out of the models, right? You hear about some of the attacks where you're trying to get additional information that it was trained on, where you can say, I'm the pretend I'm the bank manager and tell me, John Smith's bank all information, or trying to get information out. So essentially, you're trying to extract data out of there. So the attacks aren't just sending packets and exploiting a vulnerability; those are absolutely there. But on the AI app security and being able to have those secured in real time, and so some of the things, as a part of Prisma Air, is having real-time red teaming so that the agents are being and working against each other. Or just, if we think about building applications where an agent is taking a path on behalf of us, a lot of times applications are over provisioned where all of a sudden it can make changes. Probably a number of you heard about the recent issue where the AI agent just wiped out the developer's entire application and database. I mean, so we've got to make sure we're of not only today's threats, but tomorrow's attack surface and types of over provisioning, weaknesses, pulling data out that was possibly used to train. That'd be a great place to start.
Yeah. Imran,
can you guys hopefully hear me a little better? I made a change to my Wi-Fi, so hopefully that's working better.
Yeah, a little choppy, but not too bad. No, still hearing you okay. Yeah. Imran, if you can go ahead and show us a demo now of how Orion delivers this consistent, simplified security across multiple clouds. While you're getting ready, we did have a question come up of Peter has PA 5200s currently running 11.1, and he's wondering about the upgrade process and path for getting the new, for upgrading to newer hardware PA 5500s. Is that anything you guys have information on, or should we take that to an offline question?
I'm super busy in uploading my demo, so I missed the question.
No worries. Quite all right. Quite all right.
You can probably take it offline if that's okay.
That's fine. Yeah. Peter, we'll have to get back to you on that one then. Yeah. And then we had Justin asking if SCM can work only for monitoring and panorama config management. He's 100% locally managed, and he doesn't want to give the management of the key infrastructure into the cloud at this moment, which I understand that concern.
Yeah. So that's a hybrid mode, and that's one of the things that I've recommended for every customer. Keep Panorama for local rules management and creation, but using what I'd call the AI ops capabilities. Absolutely use that for the health, security posture, understanding how many threats you alerted on, prevented on, and that's absolutely where I see a lot of customers have used that, especially because you get SCM Essentials. There's some really basic, amazing capabilities that are in the SCM Essentials and I believe that's free.
Cool.
Ron, does that sound right?
It does, yeah. Thanks.
Cool.
All right, so I'm gonna go with the multi-cloud networking demo. I'm using a CAN demo just to time the firewall deployment, make it faster. Otherwise, you'll have to sit with me for a couple of minutes till the firewall gets deployed, right? So the workflow you see is basically very simple. We're looking at a deployment where we don't have any visibility, so we can get started, and you can simply onboard the account. As I said, we can support these three to start with: AWS, GCP, and Azure. Let's pick AWS. And then you fill in your details for cloud onboarding, right? For example, what is the bucket, what is the account type, and all these things. And from there on, you just go next, right? Then you need permissions to access the account to get visibility, so you can understand the existing deployment and understand the existing workloads, both the user traffic, the app traffic, and based on that, come back and recommend a deployment. And in most cases, we can just create a full Terraform for you that you can go and deploy, right? So I'm just asking for discovery, some orchestration, and some VPC access. Let's do that, and then I'm going to go and create this namespace. And then after that, just acknowledge it. You get the account ID and the bucket ID, and just acknowledge it, right? From there on, we just go and create a full Terraform that can be deployed. So you do that, Terraform is downloaded, deploy that, and now we're getting into the account, validating it, logging in, and we have the permissions, and now the service accounts can be created. Now, once that is done, we'll give you a full visibility into what is in your network. So you can see that we have users, we have data set, we have models, we have plugins, and so both mix of AI and non-AI application. You can double click into any of these and get more details. For example, what are the models, how many are scanned, how many are unscanned, what are basically fine-tuned model versus foundation models. And these, that's very good into like Gemini and then all these various models, we get visibility, right? That's a full AI Prisma Airs workflow that a lot of our attendees today are aware of. But what's new is that this new tab called Cloud Assets. If I go under Cloud Asset right here, I can now see that how are all these various assets deployed across these multiple clouds. You'll see icons for AWS, Azure, and GCP, and go from there on. Now there's something popping up in AWS that says something is unsecure. This is a complete multi-cloud flow where the application and database and maybe the runtime is setting into some different places. Now I can already see there's a combination of AWS, GCP, and Azure. So very classic, right? If I look at the cluster, I can actually go and add protection because at the moment this is not protected. The traffic is flowing through these clouds without being any protection. Let's click on add protection. Similarly, we can give both options. You can use self-managed, which is basically our VM series deployment, or you can use Cloud NGFW to secure this workload through our PAN W manager as well, right? Go back to AWS, select it, click on next, and I'm going to fill details that I need. But this is the firewall group that we can go and deploy. These are the use cases that we have in the mix. Click on next, and then select the VPCs and all the stuff that you need to select, and then click on next. Click on add VPC. I'm just going to add this right here, and it's done. All right. And then, oops, sorry, my full screen went out. I'm having a lot of challenges there. And it's as simple as this. You can just go and deploy it and just go from there. I know what happened one second. Let me go to full screen. Otherwise, you won't be seeing this really quick.
And I think that kind of gets into the challenge that I see organizations have, right? You're developing applications right and left. What is connected to what, right? Your attack surface has really just gotten exponential. So you're building an application. What are the components? What's connected to the internet? What training data are you using? And what Imran's showing, both within, Prisma Errors is it gives you that full visibility, and then, overstating it with a push of a button, now you can secure those connections with securing against the attacks and putting that all together. And just the visibility alone, I think for teams, this is going to really help give you a better handle on what's connected to what. It's not otherwise you can't just put a firewall at the perimeter between all your workloads and things like that. Having this interconnected protection and visibility is essential.
Yeah, and absolutely, John. Like you can see on the left, we went to the cloud. We looked at your firewall replacement by looking at the types of workloads you have, and we recommended the type of firewall. So in this case, you're pushing Prisma Airs as a firewall, right? Then went into applications, and then finally, we also went into your network. For example, there's any route changes that's going to happen in VPC. So we can go into, let's say, AWS and insert the route to route the traffic back to the firewall. So even we're taking care of the network layer, not just the firewall layer. That's why this is a complete solution. Go and deploy everything. And there you go. With one click, now you have AWS, all these VPCs that we selected are now protected against our firewall right here. And we also go and configure all these TGWs and any gateway load balancers that you need to go and start protecting the firewalls, right? So I think what I realize is that I'm a lot better with a live demo than a canned demo. So next time I'll be sticking to that.
No worries, no worries. Somebody asked a question that I actually, this is an acronym I do not know. Is this a replacement or advancement for Prisma Cloud CSPM?
The Cloud Security Posture Management. Imran, you want to grab that?
Yeah. So, I mean, what you see here is basically CSPM is more about the health of the application and the compliance as I look at that, right?
Yeah.
So you're looking at, are you meeting standards? Are you meeting compliance? You have the posture and all that stuff. This is really about solving the complex problem of adding security layer into your cloud service providers for an application that is span across multiple cloud service provider, right? So this is not just compliance, it's actually stitching the network for you, inserting the right security gateways to secure these application end to end. And now, as John mentioned earlier, this is going to take you to the level of looking at AI enabled attacks, looking at CDSS level threats, your your file transfers, your URL filtering, all the stuff that packed in into advanced security. So this is a lot more
And
than CSPM. Yeah.
and there was a comment from David. Palo Alto Network sales teams would love firewalls in front of every app, and I think the reality is you kind of do need that, and that's what we've developed with our software firewalls, because I have a server here and a server here. If I have a malicious command and control connection leaving that one application, I need it stopped right then and there, not at the perimeter around that. And if I have two applications, I can't just have a wide open pipe between them, right? My web server is saying log4j. Oops, this is why an app ID policy says, thou shalt not FTP any malicious data out of there. Thou shalt not grab my SQL database and go ahead and grab it. And that's where, I still think of, when I think of zero trust, it's application policy, what's allowed in, an application policy, what's allowed out. And then I've got best in class. If there's a Cobalt Strike beacon from my individual cloud workload, yes, I want it stopped right then and there down to that. I think that's the reality of what we have to be thinking about. And now with so many things connected together of training data and different large language models and things like that, how do you, where do you put the firewall? I hate to say it, it's got to be deployed all throughout this, which is Imran and team have really delivered.
Yeah, John, I think you were spot on. The attacks we're getting, and you talk about Cobalt Strike and the beacon, all that stuff, right? For them to stop real time, right there in the path, we want to be in line to that traffic, right? That's the only way we can stop it. How do you actually go and figure out based on a signature-based technology, or maybe if you come back and stop it after a day, that's too late, right? You're already compromised, right? That's why you need sensor across the board. And then I'm just expand on John's point. You don't have to go and install physical firewalls all the way. We've made it very easy for customers. We have the Prisma Access offering that can be just completely managed, route the traffic, it's secure, right? We have the Cloud NGFW offering, which is completely a firewall that you don't have to go and stitch and install. It's out there, you just redirect the traffic and it works, right? And in the demo, you saw that we made it also so easy to insert these different control points, or sensor as I call them, across the board, right? I don't have to install VM series. I can just point to Cloud NGFW, and that just gets the same level protection. And last point, all of this is again stitched and configured and managed through Strata Cloud Manager. So it becomes again super easy for customers to go and deploy these within seconds.
Cool. Did have one question come up from Caleb. Is multi-cloud security fabric part of Prisma AIRS? Is it free in Orion or paid for feature?
John, I wasn't paying too much attention on licensing, so maybe I'll
No,
have to...
neither was I. So I'm not the. Please reach out to your Palo Alto Networks account team and partner to find out. I'm not the licensing for it here either.
Okay.
Yeah, we're both the geeks in the team, so sorry about that. We'll
Yeah.
get back.
Apologies there, Caleb. Sorry.
No, apologies.
Yeah. So, okay. So, John, we only have a little bit of time left. I got a couple more questions I want to kind of run through here. What role does what role does Precision AI play in Orion's ATP, Advanced Threat Protection? And just as Advanced Threat Prevention. And as a side note, we're actually going to be having an ATP specific event coming up probably in January, just so everyone knows.
Oh, that's great. And Advanced Threat Prevention is one of my capabilities. I was the original product manager for threat prevention. And this is where I think sometimes, I'm with customers and partners all the time, and AI, it's like if we had to drink every time I say AI becomes a kind of a marketing buzzword. And what Precision AI is, just to define it, is a combination of machine learning, deep learning, generative AI. And the key is to be precise, right? It can't go, I think this is malicious traffic, or I think this is magical stuff. And I take the example, hopefully everyone on the call knows what Cobalt Strike is. That is a red team tool that pen testers use, and they absolutely love it because it looks exactly like normal network traffic. And this is where, signatures do not work. You can write a signature for Cobalt Strike, But because it looks exactly like normal network traffic, I can say, make Cobalt Strike look like a Microsoft update. And then even if you have App ID, it says Microsoft Update. I can make it look like CNN video. Signatures don't work, right? Again, it's so simple to evade them. We looked at machine learning for years. When we came out with PanOS 10.2, Imran, what was code name for 10.2? Anyway, that's when we introduced advanced threat prevention with inline deep learning prevention to raise the bar against Cobalt Strike. With 11.1, 11.2, we added additional capabilities, injection protection, prevention against PowerShell Empire. Now, with the enhancements within PanOS 12.1 Orion, we've added, with advanced threat prevention, we've added prevention of encrypted sliver command and control traffic. So many of you are not becoming. This allows for Sliver is another red team tool similar to PowerShell Empire, Cobalt Strike, and now to have prevention of with an encrypted C2 connection over TLS 1.3. This is absolutely game changing, and one example of putting the the meat behind, and why I want every single customer on the phone, or even if you're not a customer. Our advanced threat prevention is game changing. There's nothing else like it in the industry. Look at the third-party competitive results where other next-gen firewall or SASE solutions tick the box, and we've changed the game with this innovation. We keep adding new capabilities.
Beautiful. All right, everyone, we're going to be wrapping up. We're going to be wrapping up in just a moment or so here. If anyone has any other questions they want to throw into the chat, please do so. Gentlemen, how does Orion help organizations prepare for not just like today's threats and the upcoming quantum issues and whatnot, but for 3 to 5 years down the road? What kind of future proofing is going in here?
I think the biggest for me is the quantum stuff, protecting against harvest now and decrypt later. That's going to be huge protection for things coming up front, right? And not to discount all the CDS's innovation, the DNS resolve stuff that we see, all these niche attacks from advanced adversaries. And now even the novice adversaries can grab those stuff and just replay it all the time, right? With Cobalt Strike and these tools. So protection against these event threat, protection of quantum, that's huge for me.
Yeah, and just to extend on that, right? We keep adding the capability, right? The advanced DNS security, we're Unit 42 search. We keep adding, Unit 42 research on top of this, adding modules. We had DNS request, then DNS response. To now put it in terms of a resolver allows you to have, where you may not have a connection, you can have the disconnected devices, and you'll see us continue to take that more to both simplify the network stack for customers, but increase the protection at the same time. There's some other cool stuff under the hood that we put in there. Hopefully you saw the blog post. Maybe someone has the live community feed to the data exfiltration shield. And this is using advanced threat prevention and advanced DNS security to work together to prevent data exfiltration via DNS relay and HTTP headers. I mean, that's just, again, Unit 42 research implemented in product, having the best of these two capabilities working together. That together with deepfake phishing protection, with advanced URL filtering, and some other cool advanced wildfire capability. We should make a deepfake with Charles there and see if it works, Imran.
Oh, sure. Throw me under the bus. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah.
That's what it is.
I got to give props to Scott Ireland there on the chat. He can't wait for PanOS 13 to be codenamed Black Hole, because dropping all traffic is the only way to be 100% secure.
I totally agree. Yeah. I will submit that for a possible code name. Definitely. Yeah. Cool.
Why are all of the code names stellar phenomena? Is there a story behind that, or is that just what you guys chose to go with?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, so the original code names were all around, and we ran, Palo Alto networks. We ran out of cities, and so then the galaxies were the next thing, between Cosmos, Nova, Nebula, Quasar, and Orion.
Okay.
You know, yeah,
Just one of those idle questions I always kind of thought about. So,
yeah.
all right, then.
It's like
As we wrap up,
42 is the answer to every question in the universe.
that is very
And
true
Strata
there,
Cloud
yes.
Manager is the answer to all your needs. It all centers around Strata Cloud Manager.
There we go. So as we wrap that up then, for any of the executives that are here in the audience, how should they think about Orion in terms of business resilience and risk reduction?
Imran, you want to start? I think there's so many things in Strata Cloud Manager for executives and risk reduction and things like that. Maybe you start and I'll add.
Yeah, I think like the gist of it is that the zero trust approach, right? The zero trust approach has been a term for a long time. It's been a good sales term, but now with our products and technologies, we actually make it work. Because when I look at zero trust, it's not just about identifying and enforcing access at the time of authentication, but what happens after that, because the signatures change, the people can do double encryption of packet headers, the ESP we talk about, all these things, right? So how do you actually go and be in the live of that session and really enforce zero trust all the time? How do you make sure that it is enforced across the whole deployment? For example, day one, you go through PS services, professional services, everything is fine. But after that, you start inserting policies, you start getting escalations from your execs, you start changing stuff, right? This is where the full zero trust posture dashboard that we're offering in Orion, which I haven't seen it, is going to be massive for risk reduction because it's going to keep you in the posture all the time, as we spoke through that, right? And not to mention the whole identity piece, the whole threat prevention piece that we've been talking about all day, that adds to it. And finally, the best practices that keeps on getting better and better
Yeah.
as we roll out these products, right? The whole PPA piece that is part of PanOS, Orion as well. That's very significantly enhanced.
Yeah. Again, security gets higher. We try to make it simpler. We keep solving those big problems. One of the other things I think, especially for all of our listeners, is the cybersecurity regulatory compliance. I'd love to hear whether people listening today, whether that's a top of mind thing for you or other people in your organization. I'm a cybersecurity guy. Regulations are literally not my most exciting thing, and it is complex, it's hard, it's expensive. You bring in consultants for hours and hours and hours, spending millions of dollars to go, are you compliant against this regulation, this regulation, this regulation? And this is where the new compliance center that we've introduced is really going to make that a lot simpler. So if you look at, whether it's NIST, if you're not all looking at NIS2, this is probably one of your most important worldwide organizations if you're doing business in Europe. DORA, financial regulations, GDPR, PCI DSS. How do you really, again, kind of like the quantum cipher, how do you know where you're at? How do you improve it? So we brought that together, making that simpler. I think your executive teams are going to love that. Even on the basic Strata Cloud Manager, the number one thing I've gotten is, am I really using my full Palo Alto Networks gear? As Imran was talking about best practices, I talk to customers all the time. Hey, we're using Palo Alto Networks. We have all of your cloud delivered security services. And then we go in and go, okay, you don't have this enabled. You don't have this enabled. You're alerting, you're allowing or alerting on this rule, this rule, this rule. You're using the D policy for advanced URL filtering. Please stop. But all those capabilities to, again, increase the security posture, fully leverage it, so you can showcase to your, all within your organization that you're fully getting the value out of this, and there's more exciting things coming.
Beautiful. Kind of like one last question we'll wrap up with then is David Henkel is wondering will the new compliance center offset or replace the need for a Vanta Drata type of a platform?
I hate to say I'm not familiar with those two particularly. Imran,
at least I'm at least familiar with Drata. Drata is a tool that you can use to do automatic compliance checks on your code. Like you link it right to your GitHub and whatnot and have it do analysis.
I think it's going to be then complementary because this is looking at your rules, your traffic, your posture, and Imran, I don't know if you have a compliance center demo, but that's definitely another capability that you should take a look at.
No, you're right. It's gonna be designed to complement and enhance these platforms. Because if you look at this, the role of Vanta or Drata is basically governance and risk and compliance, like GRC automation and all these things, right? And also they go into SOC 2, ISO 27 kind of, number, and HIPAA and GDPR and all that stuff, right? But as I said, our thing is more to complement, because it is all security oriented compliance tool, which means that we're going to be providing real time security posture assessment for all the things. We're going to be enforcing security controls across the board, such as CIS benchmark and the NIST that John was talking about. And also we'll be focusing more on like generating security specific, as I call it, evidence, which means that something was allowed, something was blocked, why that happened, and which firewall rule is basically allowing or denying that. So if you have something that is allowed or should not be allowed, we'll document all of that into the rule based on our platform, which these platforms don't do, right? So that's where we complement that. And then finally, we also like we're automating the risk reduction, where we can actually do the BPA dashboard that John talked about, to automatically go and provide you recommendations to remediate it, right? And this is going to club with our Copilot as well. That's going to lead to configuration changes if needed automatically or manually, and then go and contribute to that. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it definitely does. Yeah.
Right? But as we mentioned, like again, Vanta and Data gives you broad top-down view of all your entire compliance program, like collecting some kind of evidence from your organization and preparing for an audit. Where our compliance center gives you deep technical view of your security infrastructure, ensuring all the critical parts are basically taken care of, and providing you this continuous compliant and actively preventing threats across the network. So they definitely complement each other.
Well, one of the things I've already done is I've actually taken down Compliance Center as a potential future Spark event. So we might actually see if we can get a speaker, maybe even yourself, Imran, or somebody else in here to talk about it. Yeah.
It's really fantastic. And again, look at the initial compliance modules as a starting point. Let us know what else you'd love to see. And there's things like if there's a industry regulation that we haven't thought of, you can do your own custom capability that's in there as well. So it's a lot of cool cutting edge stuff that are out there.
Fantastic. All right. I think that's pretty much it on all the questions. John, Imran, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us today. I really appreciate it. It's been an eye-opener for me. I always love learning about this stuff. I may not work in it on a daily basis anymore, but it's always fascinating to learn about this stuff. And it looks like we have plenty of questions and involvement from the attendees too. So thank you everyone who has been here today as well. We greatly appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks so much for having us.
Absolutely. Yep.
Talk about this for hours. I can't wait to come back again. We'll keep going into more of this.
We will definitely have you guys back. No question. All right.
Thank
All right. I'll go ahead and let these gentlemen go ahead and go. I will go ahead and finish up here with everyone. Let me share out my screen again.
Thank
Of
you.
course. Thank you very much.